Senator John McCain. And that's no surprise, because when it comes to the policies that matter to middle-class families, there's not an inch of daylight between George Bush and John McCain. Just like George Bush, John McCain wants to keep giving tax breaks to oil companies and CEOs, companies that ship our jobs overseas. It's the same failed Wall Street first, Main Street last economic policies, and we're going to change it. Like George Bush, John McCain wants to tax your health care benefits that you get from your employer for the very first time in history, and let insurance companies keep discriminating against people who need health care the most. That's the same failed insurance company first, your family last health care policy that we're going to change. Like George Bush, John McCain wants to privatize part of your Social Security. Leave it to the whims of the marketplace. Like George Bush, John McCain ignored this housing crisis until it was too late. Then he proposed a $300 billion bailout for Wall Street banks that hardly does anything to keep people like you staying in their homes. Just like George Bush, John McCain wants less government regulation of business. He said this again yesterday. The 21st time that he's called for less regulation just this year. Now, none of us want to see unnecessary burdens on business, but after what we've seen on Wall Street, isn't it obvious by now that we need some common sense rules of the road to protect consumers and our economy? I think we've had enough of Bush-McCain economics. I can take 10 more days of John McCain's attacks, but you can't take 4 more years of Bush-McCain economics. That's why I'm running for president of the United States. It is time for change. Now, I know these times are different. I know folks are worried. But I'm confident we can steer ourselves out of this crisis because I believe in this country. I believe in you. I believe in the American people. This is the United States of America. We're a nation that's faced down war and depression, great challenges and great threats. And at each and every moment, we have always risen to meet these challenges, not as Democrats, not as Republicans, but as Americans. With resolve, with confidence, with that fundamental belief that here in America, our destiny is not written by us. It's not written for us, it's written by us. We decide what our future is. You know, the Latino community has always held fast to this idea. Think about it. You and generations of Hispanics who have lived in this state and in this country for centuries have always had big dreams and big hearts and a willingness to struggle and sacrifice so the next generation doesn't have to. It's the same is true for the first Americans. The same is true for all those. The same is true for all those who came after. The same was true for my own father, who came here from Kenya so many years ago, because he believed America was a place where you can make it if you try. That's who we are. That's the country we need to be right now, and that's why I'm running for president of the United States of America. It will take new leadership. It is time to turn the page on 8 years of economic policies that put Wall Street before Main Street, but ended up hurting both. We need policies that grow our economy from the bottom up so that every American, everywhere, has the chance to get ahead. Not just the person who owns the factory, but the men and women on the factory floor. Not just the CEO, but the secretary and the janitor. Because if we've learned anything from this economic crisis, it's that we're all connected. We're all in this together. We rise or fall as one nation, as one people. That's why I'm glad that the financial rescue plan passed the Congress a while back. That was a necessary step to ease the credit crisis and make sure that banks were lending again. But if we're going to rebuild this economy from the bottom up, we need an immediate rescue plan for the middle class. That's what I intend to do as President of the United States. Work on behalf of folks who are getting a paycheck every single day and are having a tough time right now. That's why instead of giving tax breaks to companies that ship jobs overseas, I've proposed a new American jobs tax credit. Every new employee that a company hires here in the United States over the next 2 years, they will get a tax break. It is time to invest in America again. And that is something that I'm committed to when I'm president.